What if most of our relationship stress isn't personal, it's just misunderstood? Dr. John Gray, best-selling author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, joins us to talk communication, compassion, and what he's learned about people after 27 books, decades of research, and real life. If you are caring for someone else, whether paid or unpaid, and no matter how many hours you do it, did you realise that you may be missing out on thousands of pounds of discounts for things that you may use every day? The Able to Care podcast is proud to be sponsored by the UK's #1 carers card. Started by two best friends who recognise that carers deserve better and are 100% committed to helping to change the lives of all carers and bringing them together as a strong community. Carers Card UK provides support, recognition and rewards. It offers reassurance by providing an ID card that helps access emergency information when needed, while also unlocking discounts, a wellbeing hub, a carers circle tool and a community through their app. All of this for less than the price of a box of chocolates a year. There are discounts on gym membership, days out, electrical goods, clothing and even glasses. Let others know you care while taking a little care of yourself with an ID card you can be proud of. Visit carerscarduk.co.uk/promo code/able to care today to order yours. Hey John, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's my pleasure as well.
So, John, why do you think your book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, struck such a deep chord with people worldwide and still does today?
It still does. It's all around the world. It's still like a back-end bestseller. It's supported me all this time. I'll say that. I think people relate to those ideas. One is, to a great extent, women can see their relationship, men can see their relationship. And it's like I'm pointing out things that are kind of obvious once you look at it. And then there's another reason is because the line of the differences between sexes has become so blurred that men are becoming more feminized, women are becoming more masculine. And that when we lose that polarity of masculine and feminine, we lose a lot of the attraction. And people today want that attraction. And so they kind of go, how can I have that? And part of it is when you have an understanding that men are this way, women are this way, and you understand it in a positive way, there's a coming together. There's a distance that you can cross and find a oneness. And then you have that, find the distance again. You become one and you find a distance again. And because of those, to maintain the positive outlook on those differences between men and women, in today's world, we need a extra insight, we'll put it that way.
Have you found there's been a bit of a pushback as far as the principles are concerned with this more kind of nuanced way of understanding kind of masculine and feminine? Have you had to adapt your kind of ideas to communicate with the modern audience?
Well, I always adapt. I don't give up my ideas. I adapt the way I communicate those ideas. And yes, I have over the years. I've had opposition since 1980. Okay, so we're talking, this is 80, this is 45 years of opposition. Okay. I've never had a positive print interview on my books. And they became famous because I used to be able to be on all the national TV shows because people like it. They like hearing my stories, my examples, and how to make the relationships better. And the book, people would see themselves in the book with some positive suggestions on how to interact. And that helped a lot of people. I mean, really, when I travel in the airport, almost even still 45 years later, somebody comes up to me and says, I read the book, saved my marriage. Some people say, I read the book, got a divorce, but it's helping me now. So some people say, I should have read the book. Now I read the book. So it really has influenced hundreds of millions of people. It just took off and it was amazing. But it was also because I would get a lot of TV time. There was a lot of TV time. Everybody wanted me. And then in the year 2000, I was canceled. So I don't get as much TV exposure, but now we have podcasts. So everybody loves me on podcasts. You'll see people will love what we talk about. It's good fun. It's insightful. If you get just one insight, it can make a world of difference. Somebody was saying just to me today, women just want to be heard. And to her husband, is it true? You think I just want to be heard? He says, there's no way. Women want a man who's taller than her. Women want a man who's stronger than her. Women want a man who at least has a job, ideally makes more money than her. Women have all these requirements. And then above that, I just want you to hear me. And then how do you communicate in a way that a man wants to hear you? These are all, new insights. But the whole idea of why it's become a popular idea for many women, it was from my book, Men Are From Mars. I'm telling men, you just have to make sure. A woman's biggest complaint, her biggest complaint, not only requirement, but her biggest complaint is he doesn't listen. And that's primarily because when she's spending much of her day doing masculine type things that women traditionally didn't used to do, they're producing male hormones. And so to find out balance within herself, she needs more female hormones, and that's estrogen. And if a woman can talk about what she's feeling, her estrogen levels will go up. Like fertility, a woman, her estrogen levels have to become 20 times higher than a man's in order to be fertile. That's a big difference. And what allows one to raise estrogen, whether you're a man or a woman, is talking about your feelings. So there's a huge emphasis on talking about feelings for women. And if we don't understand that men are different, then psychology is telling men they need to talk about their feelings. Everybody's saying, oh, men, you should be like women. No, we should learn to listen to women's feelings and connect with our female side through her rather than dwelling on our feelings for too long, because that will just cause your testosterone levels to go down. There is such a thing I teach for men when they do on their female side, if they do have a lot of emotions and upset, how to analyze their feelings. And by analyzing them, to let go of them, that does produce testosterone. So it's not like I'm saying men should not feel. I'm just saying we don't need to encourage men to feel.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely. So what's one of
the hormones? That's how have I adapted? The way I adapted is to make my ideas presentable for people. Is once we got in this idea that we're all the same, relationships went downhill. And so my Mars Venus was really good at helping us understand the differences. But as women became more masculine, women would say, I read that book and I feel like I'm from Mars. So then I had to start explaining, I had to find, okay, how can I help women realize they're not from Mars? They're women. And they have different hormone systems. So I spent the last 25 years understanding hormones, maybe better than anybody on the planet, to explain how to help women produce female hormones again, and what a man can do to help a woman create her female hormones. And ironically, anything a man does, says, the words he uses, his actions, his reactions, anything he does that will raise estrogen in a woman will raise his testosterone. And right now we're seeing a crisis in men of low testosterone.
Yeah.
It's even considered normal for men's testosterone levels to go down as they get older. Mine have only gone up. And that's because I don't do the things that psychology tells men to do. I do the stuff which psychology tells women to do, which is help her to feel, help her to express, help her to feel she's not alone, be the man for her. And what she has to learn to do is be the woman for him, which is to trust him, to appreciate him, to accept him, to not complain about him, to not criticize him, not complain. Women don't know how to get more from a man. And so they end up complaining. And then to justify their complaints, they have to criticize him. They have to compare him. They have to catastrophize. They have to command him, condemn him. All those worst behaviors that will just shut a man down are only come up in a woman to justify her complaints because she wants more. She doesn't have a training in how to ask for more and to ask for what she can get and to ask for what's most important for her that a man can provide for her. This is all new education. Why? Because in the past, women weren't so much on the male side needing to come back to being from their planet.
I think it is a complicated time for both parties, for both sexes, to try and figure out this new world, to figure out the new roles that we seem to have and created for ourselves, but still maintain a difference, but recognize the similarities. And that's a challenge, isn't it? It sounds like that's where you're trying to navigate people as best you can.
Yeah, I don't even think we have to look at the similarities so much as look at the differences with positivity. It's not like people are complaining. You're not seeing, nobody disagrees that we have two hands and one nose. Similarities are obvious. What's not obvious is that the differences are positive. Okay. So when a man, for example, is thinking and he disconnects from his emotions, women think, oh, he doesn't love me, he doesn't care about me, mad at me, just because he disconnected from his emotions. We're designed as men. Our biology is such. The wiring in us, hard wiring, is that when we produce adrenaline, it's one of the stress hormones. When you produce adrenaline, your emotions go down so that you can think clearly to solve an emergency. Your emotions dissipate. For a woman, they increase. Biologically, they increase 3 times more than a man. Then her blood flow literally goes to the emotional part of the brain when there's adrenaline. For a man, blood flow stops going to the emotional part of the brain. This is not conditioning. This is wiring. This is how we are wired up differently. And when a woman has that emotional response under moderate stress, that's what adrenaline is, she needs to talk about it. If she can talk about it, then her stress goes down. And the way you can visualize this, how the wiring came about, is imagine you've got a woman, she's pregnant, or she's got a baby in her arms and there's danger. She sees a tiger in the jungle. What is she supposed to do? Go fight the tiger? No, she's got to go to a man who's not holding a baby, who's trained in fighting tigers. And she's going to tell him, there's a problem. We have a problem here. So if she can communicate the problem, now she can relax. I don't have to solve it. So what you have is women today always feeling overwhelmed with problems they feel I have to solve today. Because if they can express the fear, the insecurities, the doubts, the frustrations, if she can share her emotions and a man hears it, particularly a man, when a man hears it, he hears it from a different part of his brain than another woman. It's a different kind of support. His blood flow goes to his prefrontal cortex to become optimistic and to take action. So she says, danger, danger. He says, no problem. I can handle it. That's what his brain does. And for her, she goes to another woman, danger, danger. The other woman's going to go, oh my gosh, danger, danger. Literally, you can see blood flow doesn't go to the prefrontal cortex in a woman when she shares with another woman. There's a different wiring altogether. Our brains are very similar, but how we're wired up to use the brains has all to do with our hormonal balances. The hormonal balance in men and women are completely opposite. For women to make a baby, she needs to make huge amounts of estrogen. Men have to make huge amounts of testosterone. And the biology is all designed to reproduce itself. Sex and food, that's what life's about on the biological level.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just kind of touched on one of my questions there. So you talk a lot about how men and women handle stress differently. So is that mainly around that release of hormones and the different parts of the brain that are then triggered as a result of that?
Yes, it's all about the hormones. It's all about, so when a woman is experiencing moderate stress, okay, that means she's making adrenaline. Her brain naturally produces more emotions so that she can go tell somebody there's danger. And if she can feel heard, much of the stress goes away, even if the danger still persists. She doesn't have to have all the problems solved. She just has to feel I'm not alone. I don't have to do it myself. This feeling I have to do it myself is what causes stress for women. And if you look biologically, whenever a man or a woman feels I have to do it myself, testosterone goes up. So for us as men, feeling like I have the answer, I'm the solution, I can fix this, that lowers our stress because it raises our testosterone. But for women, when she feels I have to do it all myself, it raises her testosterone and causes her stress levels to go higher. Because the simple premise here, which is behind all my work to explain stress, is that when a woman is stressed, always when a woman is stressed, her estrogen's too low, her testosterone's too high. Now there's more subtleties there, which is for women when they're cycling, after ovulation, she still needs to make estrogen, but not as much as before. She needs to make more progesterone. So progesterone is the hormone that lowers her stress after ovulation. And progesterone is produced for women when they feel, I get to do something, I enjoy doing something, I like doing something, And if they're extrovert, I'm with other people doing something, not out of obligation, but out of choice. If she's more introverted, then I get to be what I like to do alone or on my own. But the key there for progesterone is social bonding or internal bonding from choice, doing what I like, not doing what I have to do. Whenever you do what you have to do to achieve a goal that you set, testosterone goes up. And so when women are in a place of, I have to go to work, I don't want to go to work, they don't make progesterone. And that is a major source of depression for women, is their progesterone levels are too low. Now, ironically and confusing in the medical community, what they call that is estrogen dominance, which means her estrogen levels compared to progesterone are too high, because during that period of time, her progesterone has to be higher than her estrogen, but she still needs estrogen. But what short circuits her progesterone is feeling, I have to do something. I don't just get to do it. And that have to do something, you look at behaviorally, that behavior of I have to do something is what produces testosterone. Whenever you have if the fire's on fire, I have to get out of here. Your testosterone is going to shoot up, whether you're a man or a woman. It's just going to go up anytime you have to do something. So for men, a whole key thing is for us to be very clear about that we choose our goals. Because if I choose my goal is to write a book, then every day I have to work on writing a book, but I don't resent having to do something. If I resent having to do something, my testosterone doesn't go up. It's when I choose what I have to do. Have a goal, I choose to do this, it goes up. For women, they set their goal to make money, but they don't benefit from that surge of testosterone that gets produced by, I have to do this. I set a goal, I have to do this, testosterone goes up. But for women, when your testosterone goes up, your progesterone goes down. Women, I think it's like 20% of women have something called PCOS, which is too high testosterone, not enough progesterone. They go hand in hand. So for women, it's a dance. It's a balance of being on their male side at work and coming back to their female side and knowing how to nurture her female side. What does she need to nurture her female side? And if she's cycling, what kind of nurturing does she need depending upon what day of her cycle it is? When she's 5 days prior to ovulation, she's going to particularly depend upon a man's support. A man's support is the best. If you don't have a man, at least hire a man, not for sex, but for fixing your house or fixing something. You should feel that men are there to protect you at that time, because when you depend on a man, your estrogen levels will go much higher than depending on a woman. Men are selfless. I mean, we are dedicated. We're devoted. We serve women from the place of compassion, whereas women serve women from the place of empathy. It's not like women are going to dedicate their life to you. Okay? A man will dedicate his life to you. A woman does not. She's got friends. She'll help her friends, but only so far. A man, you make him your hero, he will die for you.
Is this some of the stuff you were mentioning there? I know you've got a new book that's coming out, which are Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, for women only, be happy with or without a man. Is some of that the narratives that you've weaved into that story, basically? That's
a lot of the narrative, which is learning, if you want a successful relationship with a man, that if you can be happy without a man, then he has a clear role to make you happier. Right. His role is to raise your estrogen levels and to indirectly support you in a lifestyle that helps you choose your activities rather than feel I have to do everything. Because, I'm sitting here for 45 years listening to women be overwhelmed. Well, I have to do this. I have to do this. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do this. And one is she overgives to him. And this is caretakers, which I know you deal a lot with. Caretakers, you get women caretakers, they by nature tend to be codependent. The codependence it's a good quality if you have a man taking care of you and you're taking care of your children. But when you're taking care of other adults, they're not children, but they're sick. So it's like a child. So you get to experience this nurturing part of you. That's your male part. That's what women have to know. It's the more enlightened male part. Selfless male is the mother taking care of someone, is the caretaker who gives unconditionally to someone. But to give unconditionally to someone, if you're a woman, you need to have somebody giving to you unconditionally, which means a man. And men are the best at unconditional love. Again, make him your hero; he'll die for you. Uh, that's our highest nature of masculinity. Women have a male side, but it's very selfish. She goes to work. I want this. I want this. I want this for me. That's okay. That's how it is. Until you have a man who will selflessly take care of you, so that you don't have to have a selfish man inside of you taking care of you. You can be selfless and taking care of your children. This is the irony. People think mothering is this very feminine thing to do. It's a very feminine and masculine thing to do. Okay. She's acting from a place of love, but she's very masculine and she's running the house. She's making sacrifices. She'll give her life for her children, not for her husband, but for her children. So it's her male side. So it's understanding polarity, two forces in the universe manifesting through our bodies. The giving side of us is our masculine side. The receiving side of us is our feminine side. And what we want is a balance of both. And what we can see, this is mirrored in our biology. Whenever you're receiving, you feel grateful, you feel trusting, you feel accepting, appreciative. All of those emotions are expressions of estrogen. And you bond with someone and you become one with that person through the estrogen. Whereas testosterone is you want to, if estrogen is receiving the test that, for me, I want to give the best job I can to help people. Like right now, I'm in my helping mode. I want to solve problems. I want to do things. And I can't continue to solve problems if I don't have an audience. So I need to have an audience who appreciates me. So, but see, men need to depend on themselves, and then they need appreciation. They need to be trusted. They need an audience. They need acceptance. They need a job that's meaningful to others. And how do you know that your life has meaningful? If you're a man, you need feedback. You need feedback to say, I made a good job. In our culture, pretty much that's money. If people pay you, then you're getting a clear message that people value you and you did something for it. It's a bit of a tragedy, and although it's really fun, when celebrities make so much more money than everybody else, our stockbrokers make so much money than everybody else, they're getting more than they deserve. When you give a man more than he deserves, just put in terms of his effort, he puts in his effort to do something, you get response. But when everybody gives you so much more than you earn, so to speak, through your efforts and your energy, through this body interacting, what happens is you become spoiled. So you see celebrity types are all spoiled. They're men who don't feel that I really have earned everything. It's sort of being given, more is given to me. It's a subtlety. I don't know why I went there, but it's men have to feel I earned this. And when life becomes easy, too easy, men weaken. And this is often seen in the case of the sons of very successful, wealthy men. They can be very arrogant. They can be very narcissistic. They can be very selfish. They become womanizers. They can't commit to a woman. They can't sustain that type of relationship because their testosterone is weak. Your testosterone becomes strong when you have to overcome hurdles. I write books. I'm writing another book right now, and it's hard. It's a challenge. Everything's a challenge. I used to be a software programmer. It was hard, but every time you have a problem and you solve it, then you feel really good, and you solve it, you feel really good. But if life is too easy for males, then they're receiving too much. Getting too much will make them weak. And there's a saying I hear over and over these days is good times make men weak. Weak men make bad times make men strong.
I've heard something similar to that before as well. Yeah, I can't remember I heard it.
And this is a lot of, what happens to us men is that we work hard and we live our lives, but we don't know how to get the love from our wives that they could give to us because we don't have the communication skills and whatever. If you work hard and you get love from a woman, then you find balance within yourself and you don't burn out. But as men don't get enough love from women, their testosterone levels start going lower and lower and lower. Or he has a good job. He doesn't have to work so hard to make money. So his testosterone goes lower and lower and lower until he has enough money where he doesn't have to work at all and he retires. His testosterone hits bottom and then he dies. This is This is the plight of men unless they understand the power of making a woman happier. Okay, so it takes effort. It's not that hard once you know how to do it, but it's hard work. You have to sit down. I look at my writing. Writing is 10 times easier for me than when I was my first book because I didn't know how to write, right? So I'm struggling through this whole process. It was very painful. And I hit those moments now, but then I can go over them pretty easily because I know my options and what I can do. So the job has gotten easier. So my work is easier, but I still work because when I'm working, I'm not out playing tennis or I'm not out enjoying fun things. I'm having to dedicate myself to one thing. And that is depriving myself of other things that may be more enjoyable.
Delaying gratification is almost a testament to your. It's an achievement in itself. Yeah,
and I love
it's a form
that.
of mastery.
It's a testament and testosterone. They go together.
Yeah.
Delayed gratification. Yeah.
So, what of our listeners, are either parents or, as you mentioned, caregivers, so it might be sandwich carers, so they've got children and elderly relatives. What is it that, how can a couple better communicate and better meet the needs of either that support with the children, the support with the duties that the woman usually takes the role of, typically from one side, but what's the right way they can ask for it and what's the right support that they should be getting?
Okay, so I'm gonna branch off. You sort of answered it just a minute ago. Delayed gratification is men have to have delayed gratification, which is I have tremendous delayed gratification when I anticipate being gratified. Okay, so I can sit here and work hard on a book knowing that it will be successful. If I don't know it's going to be successful, it's a little bit harder because when you anticipate success, if you're a man, you anticipate a positive outcome. That anticipation will raise your testosterone and keep your stress low. For women, delayed gratification is to anticipate getting what I need after I have to give so much. So the caretaker, the female side of us, is taking care of someone. And particularly when women are taking care of someone, it's very important that in their giving, that they anticipate getting back from somebody else. Okay, this is the wife taking care of her children. She anticipates getting extra from her husband. This is taking care of your parents. You anticipate your husband. If you're a woman, you have to anticipate your husband giving you more love as well. This is the thing about a man, is that a man becomes a place where you can anticipate getting a special kind of love that will raise your estrogen. Because taking care of other people does not raise your estrogen if you're a woman. So women will burn out. Taking care of other people can, if he's well paid for it, can raise a man's testosterone, but it's also very challenging. I looked at the statistics. I'm not a master of this, but I looked at the statistics, and generally caretakers are women, nursing types. And the only males, predominantly males, who become like caretakers of older people are Filipinos, which in their culture, evidently that created a sense of status if you did that. If a culture tells you have status from doing something, then you can do it. But you have to feel that on a certain level inside of a man that I'm doing something meaningful and important. Our culture doesn't pay caretakers a lot. So when culture doesn't reward men for something, then you don't get a lot of testosterone when you're doing it. It's pretty hard to say I'm doing something real meaningful when society is always saying, well, you don't get paid for it. You don't get paid for it. So now you can. And so if I was a woman married to a husband who's now a caretaker of others, and so he doesn't get that status, she gives him status by needing his attention, his affection, his love and support. I've sort of reversed what I teach the most, which is when women were on their male side working all the time or caregiving, if they can anticipate coming back to a spouse who will hear their feelings. Ironically, this has a really magical effect because when you share your secrets, and feelings are secret. People go around all day long and we have problems, but we're not going to tell anybody else about our problems. We have judgments, we have criticism, we have complaints, but you put on a happy face, you take pictures of yourself smiling. Okay, this is the culture we live in, all the fake posts, I mean, I'm a counselor. I could see my clients who hate each other smiling for a picture and they look so great. People
Yeah.
don't know. And,
Yeah.
people appearing so romantic and yet they're sleeping and they don't have sex anymore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of illusion in our life because we hide. Well, what can raise estrogen for women to lower their stress is have a man who they can share their feelings with, who uh, is able to validate her negativity in the context of that's not all she is. She's also this wonderful, loving person as well. Because see, women have this sort of dark and light side. It's to the extent they have this much love, they have that much darkness. They have a shadow. And when they're stressed, the shadow comes out. So the woman who's so loving and nice, often they're the ones who have the most resentment. They will complain, I give and give and give, and my husband completely ignores me. Instead of realizing that I'm giving and giving and giving, and these people aren't giving me anything. I'm not getting paid for this, But the reality is, she complains her husband ignores her because she doesn't go to her husband and share what her frustrations are in her work. What she'll do is women will give and give and give, and then they feel resentful, and then they'll put that resentment on their husband. And this is just a phenomena that occurs. It's standard psychology. Is you accumulate stress from the day, pushing it down, and when you feel relaxed, it all comes out. But when it comes out, unless you unless you have the extra wisdom to determine where that stress came from, it will tend to just react on your spouse. You just find yourself being annoyed and irritated with them and so forth. I have a simple example of how displacement, that's called displacement. It happens for me is my dog, I have white carpets, and my dog threw up on the carpet one time and I could never clean up the spot. So there's this little brown out spot, just a little bit. And it's right when I go into the kitchen. I can tell when I'm stressed because we don't always know we're stressed. We're just living our life. But I can tell my stress levels are rising when I notice those spots. If I don't, most of the time when I'm happy, I don't even see them. I don't even look. But when I'm stressed, my brain will go, oh, look at those spots that I'm powerless to change. So what happens for women is all these things they're powerless to change at work. It creates this, okay, where do I have power? And it's going to be with their partner. Okay. And so the feelings, they just come out at the partner rather than about what's going on in their life. So what I teach women, in order to process the stress, they need to talk to their husbands about problems that their husbands are not responsible for. Meaning never make him the bad guy. If he's the good guy, he will die for you. Why can't I get more from my husband? Because he's the bad guy. If he's the good guy, he will have compassion. He will have motivation. He will have optimism. And often his optimism comes out the wrong way. He'll say, don't worry about it. And then she feels invalidated. So what she has to say to him is, you don't have to say anything. Just hear me. And then while she's talking, he holds this optimistic space, which is my wife's being really negative right now. But that's only one little part of her. She's this amazing woman, and I love her, and I care for her. And I remember yesterday, she was so nice, and she's this. See, men can hold on to that and give that kind of support to their wives with compassion and dedication. Other women can't do that. Other they'll go, you're right, and they're right, and they'll go off in their different worlds. But a man will bond with you. He wants to serve you. He wants to give his life for you. Really, his unhappiness is your unhappiness. Many times, I've watched my daughters. They hear some other woman's happiness and unhappiness, and they're happy that they're not unhappy. I just had a client write to me, I need to see someone else suffering. Otherwise, I feel I'm the only one suffering. So women are happy with somebody suffering. A man are not happy with a woman suffering. We want to take away that suffering for her. We have that motivation. It's a completely different wiring in our brain to solve the problem. Why is that? Because it makes testosterone. We get something out of it. Solving problems creates testosterone. Sharing problems creates estrogen. So women will share their problems with each other, but they're not going to dedicate their lives to solving those problems.
Have you ever encountered an adult or child's behavior that has felt difficult, overwhelming, or challenging? Have you sometimes felt at a loss of what to do, or know that you didn't handle it quite right? People are complex and unpredictable, and their behavior can be like the weather. We've all made the mistake of looking out the window and feeling safe to wear shorts, but 5 minutes later, wishing for an umbrella. What if, like a weatherman, you understood how humidity, temperature, and pressure all come together to cause the weather, allowing you to better prepare, predict, and respond, and prevent ever having a picnic ruined by a thunderstorm ever again? My book, called Targeting the Positive with Behaviours that Challenge, helps you to become the weatherman of behaviour. It provides you with a toolkit to increase competency, confidence, resilience, and empathy, so you feel more assured about how to respond to distressed or dysregulated behaviours in others, including those affected by trauma, mental health, neurodiversity, learning disabilities, or dementia. Build better connections, achieve de-escalation, and improve outcomes for yourself and those you engage with my celebrated 6-stage target model, a step-by-step process to reduce distress for everyone. Discover my empowering, person-centered guide in Targeting the Positive, written by me, Andy Baker, available from online bookstores worldwide. Find a link in the description and order today. One of the things that I learned, and it sounds like it's kind of aligned with what you teach, is just a simple question that I've now learned to ask, which is, do you want a hug? Do you want to be heard? Or do you want help? And I just lead in with that when my partner's struggling. Though my instinct is to solve the problem, yes, but sometimes you just want to vent. Sometimes you just want a hug and to be nurtured. And I find that quite a useful question.
What is that question again?
Do you want a hug? Do you want to be heard? Or do you want help?
Yeah. So good. Every man should know those are the best questions to ask.
Yeah, it's definitely helped me.
And you asked me before about why Mars Venus struck a chord. That's the main essence of that book, which is women don't always want a solution. And so, yes, do you want a solution, or do you want me to hear you? And in hearing you, I'm actually solving the problem. Okay, so that's the whole thing, for men to be able to translate in their mind. And even still, I'm teaching this 40 years. Sometimes my wife is just talking and I will want to go into solving that problem. And what frees me from that is instead of jumping in there, because I feel like I can give you the solution to this, I say, does it feel good to talk about it? I'll just say, and do you feel better now talking about it? And then I feel, okay, now I don't have to give a solution. I don't have to explain to her what she could do differently or whatever. I'm free from that. And this is something wise for women to know, which is whenever your man's listening to, reassure him several times. It feels good just to talk about this. And I'm really glad I'm feeling better just talking about it. Then that creates an openness in men to be more curious about what you're feeling. Because often, I don't want to know what you're feeling if there's nothing I can do about it. That's what we do. If there's a problem at work, I can't solve it. Forget it. I can't do anything about it. So I don't want to know what your feelings are if you don't want my solution, unless I understand that my solution is just to hear you. And the only way I can know that, because I have a different set of hormones, is for you to tell me again and again, it just feels good to be able to talk about this with you. Thanks for listening. And then that gives it, in a sense, a status to him for doing nothing. And that's a very Zen thing, to do without doing,
Yeah. Yeah. Delivering a gift. We call it like conflict management stuff.
I like that, I want to acknowledge you for, do you want help or do you want me just to listen? That is such a profound thing, because it's actually, I finished this other book, Be Happy With or Without a Man, and I'm working now on this book, editing. I've already written it, which is Why Men Fall in Love and Stay in Love. And the whole thing there is men stay in love as long as he feels he's helping. And to be purely feminine, the most essence of femininity is relationship. And in relationship, it's about, from the female side, being helped. And for the male side, it's about helping. That's what brings us together. That I have a role where I can help you. And that role, it changes over time. It used my dad's generation, it was I can make money. And today's generation, I make money, but you got to do more. If she can make money and I make money, they cancel each other out. So how can I help her? And a lot of women don't know how they can help. I remember one of my conditions when I have a new client and when they come to my office, I will say, how can I help you? And it's very important that they acknowledge that I can help them. And I remember one time, this one woman, She says, I don't know if you can. I said, well, when you think I can, come back. You don't have to pay for this session. And I kicked her out. I don't have to convince somebody I can help them. And this is the dating situation today. You know, I don't know if you can help me, as opposed to realizing I got a man. Men can help a lot. You know, they don't do everything, but they can help a lot.
I know you've said that self-care isn't selfish, that it's survival. But what does self-care really look like for anybody who's supporting others all the time?
Well, again, I always look at things from a gender perspective because there's different answers. For a woman, self-care is two types. There's the youth. We have a class at Mars Venus, which is called How to Get Your Me Time. And it talks about three for women only. And there's a time that a woman has these three parts of her, many parts, but we look at just three parts in this example. One is I'm taking care of others. That's you time. I'm giving to you. I'm giving to you. And if you're doing that all the time, you'll burn out. Because when you're doing you time, you're actually making male hormones. And if you're a woman, you really have to come back to make female hormones. And there's two basic ways you make female hormones. One is through we time, and that makes estrogen. And one is through me time, and that makes progesterone. And there's two types of progesterone for some women. If you're a more extroverted woman, it's spending time with other people in a social bonding situation. That'll be card games, that's playing bridge, that's making dinner together, that's going on a walk together, that's talking about problems together. Okay, that would be social bonding for some women without trying to make money. That's the whole, is you time is making money. It's testosterone, it's selflessness, it's giving. And we all need that. Men need it more, but women need that. Then what women need, if they're extroverted, is this bonding time. And it doesn't have to be just with women. It can be with other men, but it's not the romantic nature. It's not like she's looking to receive something from them. It's an equal back and forth sharing. That's one form of me time. Another form of me time is for the introverted woman, which she just needs time to sit in the bathtub. She needs time to be in her garden. She needs time to read a book. She needs time to feel relaxed. She needs to go for walks in nature. Or she could be, if she's more athletic, she needs to go do her sports or whatever. So it's things that she chooses to do where she's not depending on anybody. Whereas those are both progesterone producing activities. Ideally, they're your dominant focus after ovulation towards your period. And as you're leaving your period, first 5 days after your period, that's the best time to set goals. That's the best time to be producing testosterone. Because after 5 days before ovulation, for you to be happy and stress-free, you need to make twice as much estrogen. And what produces estrogen, you could see this as a part of me time in that I'm busy in you time all the time. I need to come back to my female side, which is the estrogen side. And that is by depending on someone for support. If you don't have a man in your life to share your feelings with, you go to a coach, you go to a therapist, you go to your doctor, you take a class, you read a book where you're learning something, where you can depend on something for your personal benefit. So selfish time, really. And if you don't have someone you can depend on, you create that. That's the whole idea, is I need to put myself in a situation where I'm depending on someone for their love and support, for their wisdom, for their guidance, for their insight. I think women were a lot happier back when they believed in God, because that was really powerful prayer. Prayer is a big stimulator of feeling I have help and support. When you lose your experience of God, it's a big, tough thing for women. Not as tough for men, but I think it is too. Just men aren't aware of it. When you have a spiritual idea, the universe is order, which is that if you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad. It's a simple concept in every spiritual tradition. And do unto others as you have them do unto you. Because if you don't, they're not going to do that to you. so be selfish about it. Be not selfish, be selfish. Because, here's a fun thought just comes to my mind. But I remember Michael Jackson saying that if I don't sit down and write songs, Prince will get them. The divine energy is going to come into the world. And if you don't show up for it, it's not going to come through you. And you just You got to show up. And so I live I don't live in a chaotic universe. I live in a universe that responds to my behaviors. And that's a place really good for men of 100% accountability. You know, and it's not like if I do really good, only good things happen. That's another, yes, but because we have things happen to us to teach us lessons so we can be more grounded in alignment and love and what we're here for in this world. If I've ventured off to become a businessman. When my books became so successful, I had more money. I became a businessman to use money to make money. Everything I did failed. People cheat me, rip me off, lie to me. It's just like, but when I just focus on what I'm here for, and we all have our some people are businessmen. I'm not, but I wanted to be everything, and that's a big mistake. You find out who you are and you do your thing. You find your calling. That was a very spiritual thing. You find your calling and you devote yourself to that. You pray to ask help to help others. That's the most powerful aspect of spirituality. When you don't have that, it's like missing a limb, Not that you have to have it, but it's a good thing to have.
Something you said there that kind of resonated with me that I think is quite important. And one of the things is choosing. Seemed quite important as far as so whether you are introverted or extroverted, but it's doing the things you choose to do rather than the things that you have to do is that big difference in self-care, isn't it? And I thought that's really just useful. Just that little bit is really useful to just think about. Yeah.
And a lot of times women don't know what they want. They really don't. There's a tendency of overgiving, and the way you come back to knowing what you want is to acknowledge your negative emotions. And this is something foreign to a lot of people. People understand psychology. Maybe they're more aware of it. But see, every negative emotion is a frustrated desire. Okay. And it's something that you don't choose. Okay. So to become aware of what you choose, the way we are as humans, if you're not choosing life, feeling good, then you have to be aware of, well, what am I choosing? To get that awareness, you need a contrast. But what am I not choosing? And what am I not wanting? And that's what our negative emotions are. So by being aware of our negative emotions, and I suggest to people doing this either in therapy or through journaling, writing out your negative emotions in a context that you're not using them to change somebody. See, when you're sharing negative emotions with a spouse, you're doing it to elicit a response from them. You're using those negative emotions to get attention, to get understanding, to get them to change in some way. When women say, I feel hurt, it's like their go-to. I feel hurt is the only way they can get a man to change. But when you do that, I feel hurt. And they're taught to say this, but then you're infantizing them to be like a child who has to cry in order to get fed. We have something called language. You don't have to say, I feel hurt when you do something. You can say, this is what I would like. I don't like it when you do this. See, this is the adult prefrontal cortex brain. Then we have these primitive parts of our brain that get all emotional. And emotions are very important. They're part of who we are. Positive emotions is when you're choosing and wanting and needing. Negative emotions make you aware of what you're not wanting, what you're not choosing, what you really, really want. So by taking time to really look inside yourself and journal what your negative emotions are, what your negative feelings are, with the intent to not share them with anybody, but to become aware of them, to feel them, and to then let them go and then focus on positive emotions. It's like when you're choosing, if you have negative emotions, if you're choosing them, now you're choosing to feel them, not to change the outer world, but simply to be aware of them so that you're aware of what you're feeling. Then you can also easily become aware of your positive feelings as well. Because we always have positive feelings and we always have negative feelings. And so you take a little time, look at the left, then go to the right. Now, this is the way the brain is designed. We have this prefrontal cortex. And when blood flows primarily to the left prefrontal cortex, we see what's positive. And when it flows to the right prefrontal cortex, we see what's negative. We're supposed to look at what's negative and then look at what's positive. And it will automatically happen, just like when you throw a ball against a wall, it will bounce back. If you choose to go to your negative side without using them to change someone. So like, if you're angry with somebody, you're doing it to change them. If you're feeling hurt, you're doing it to change them. I'm telling you, I feel hurt so that you'll change your behavior. If you're feeling afraid, you're basically, again, I'm afraid is so to get people to do things for you or to stop doing things for you, is get more control in your life. And regret, feeling sorrow and shame, these emotions are letting you know that you're made a mistake. You didn't live up to who you want to be, and increases your desire to be more. You say you're sorry to somebody else, it builds trust with them. Again, so when you're expressing negative emotions, you're always using them to get what you want. Then your brain says, oh, if I'm not getting what I want, give me more negative emotions. You want to not use that part of the brain except for awareness. And then you can be aware of the positive, because every situation has a negative side and a positive side.
Very true. I'd love to.
So that would be me time. That's a very important me time for women when they come to balancing the feelings of sacrifice, because they're giving all the time. And so this is a time for them to give to themselves by journaling. They're listening to themselves. They're being the perfect therapist for themselves, so to speak. And for men, it's very important, if they're caring for someone, they have to take time to not care for people. That's called cave time, and be very selfish and use their muscles as much as possible, or challenge their brain as much as possible. Solve problems that don't have to do with making money. Okay. But it has to be challenged. It has to be competition. These are different things that will stimulate testosterone in a man. Or, there's always the most ancient approach for men, for a man's me time and self-nurturing time, is meditation, breathing exercises, physical postures, and so forth. You're stretching your body. But for me, it's always meditation. I'm a master meditator for 55 years. And so I taught meditation when I was 18 years old. I've been meditating since I was 2 years old. I was just in a spiritual family where that was a part of the whole thing. So I love to meditate, maybe too much, according to my wife sometimes.
If it's an excuse not to be doing a job, then yeah.
That's right.
But I suppose there's still a bit of a stigma. I don't know if stigma is the right word, but sometimes there's a misunderstanding maybe around things like meditation and things like that is excessively spiritual or only for a certain demographic. And I think there's a lot of people out there who don't really understand meditation or don't quite get it. Obviously, that's a big, as you said, you've been doing it from 2 years old. You're mastering, studied a master's in it.
It's been a big part of my life. My parents did it and so forth.
Yeah. So what would your suggestion be to anybody who's first exploring the idea of something like meditation then?
The best that I know introductory class is Transcendental Meditation. That's because that's what I became a teacher of 55 years ago. Okay, so or whatever that was. That's a really nice course. But there's so many now, and so much available. Back then, that was sort of the only place you went. It was the most popular, and there was Kundalini yoga. But then there's what they've done is, they've made it more scientific. And so there's just simply so many practices of just simply breathing. It's the breathing to the count of 5 in, holding your breath for 5 minutes, breathing out for 5 minutes through the mouth. And just doing that cycle 10 times has proven to relax your brain and increase endorphins in your brain. Okay. It activates the vagus nerve just by conscious breathing. So there's a lot of different groups that do breathing. There's books on meditation. But when it comes to meditation, it's good to learn in a group. That's why I like the TM group, because at least you're with other people. You can share your experience. It's also good to pay some money for it because you do it. If you just it's so easy, because the essence of transcendental meditation, for example, is you think a sound over and over, and when you forget it, you come back to it. That's pretty much what meditation is. But the genius of Maharishi, who taught me the early stages, these are beginning stages. I don't do that anymore. I do all kinds of fancy stuff. But the simplicity that when Maharishi came to America, it became really big, because in India, if you learn to meditate, they say you must concentrate. You must concentrate. And of course, your mind is going to wander. And so then you feel like a failure. Then you don't want to do it. You say it's too hard. So when he came along and said, you don't have to concentrate. You just become aware of your thinking, how easy it is to think. Now choose to think the sound, like any kind of sound. They call them bija mantras. One would be cling. So you would just go cling, cling, cling. And then you'd be thinking about grocery lists. Then you notice you're thinking about grocery lists, and then come back to cling, cling, cling. And then, so these short little sounds that are that has certain vibratory frequencies that activate your head versus your heart. You can feel it in your body if you do different bija mantras. It's just a frequency. So when you're repeating that frequency, a sound over and over and over, you just notice your mind is wandering, and then bring attention back effortlessly. So that was the idea of don't try hard, but relax, be effortless, be easy with the whole thing. There's other hypnosis is a really great thing, that self-hypnosis techniques. Go to someone, teach you how to do body relaxation. There's something where you just simply, first you do your breathing, and then you start bringing your awareness to different parts of your body. And that's body awareness. It will relax, just putting awareness on your body instead of awareness at work. And then you can put a smile on your face. This is a really good Chinese technique. Put a smile on your face and just feel love for your different organs. Just like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Journaling is also a form of meditation where you're reflecting on what you're feeling. There's so many things that will lower your stress, and they've proven to. And so what I like about relationships is that you can lower stress on your own, but you'll always be lowering stress because you're not in relationship. Relationship allows you to experience greater love between two people with the outer world. Okay, you've got somebody outside of you, somebody inside of you. And when a woman can be vulnerable and a man can provide the support she needs in that moment, like just to hear her could be one thing, do something for her would be another thing. But when he provides that, makes her happier, he becomes even happier and his stress goes down. So it's a stress reducing technique, but also creates bonding in a relationship where you can create a family, where you can have children. And all of those factors, having a family in itself is a major stress reducer. I can have a stressful life. I can go meditate, lower my stress, but then I go back out into a stressful life. Why not meditate, lower your stress, then come back out into a relationship and a family and a community that lowers my stress as well. So it's love. So I spent most of my life learning to open my heart to meditation, then realize that's a dead end street. It doesn't bring love into your life. It's serving others. And for a woman, being served is the flip side of that.
Of that. And I think that's quite important. I think many of our listeners would find that really beneficial as well. So we kind of draw into a close on this. Now, you've written over 27 books. Which one has changed you the most?
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And, I've written all these books now for women because they have more questions. Man can read Men Are From Mars and you get the gist of it. It's really what I see for success in marriage and relationships between men and women. Think of the simple logic here. Men want to make a woman happy. They just don't know how. Women can't be made happy until they know what they need, and their needs have changed. They need a man to help her come back to her female side. And if she's not on her female side, she doesn't know what that means. So I give women a simple message. Your female side is the part of you that needs help. And you need help to have somebody listen to you, because that will help you sort your thoughts out. It will reassure you that you're loved. You need to be able to ask for help, for him to do things for you, not hold back. You need to be vulnerable. And when he can provide that help, he will love you more. And you just have to be open to receiving it. So to a certain extent, men, we're powerless if women don't know what they need from us. And so that's why I write most of my books now just to women, because women have the power to bring out a man. They have to be aware of what they need and how to ask for it, how to treat a man. So he'll want to give you that help. He wants to do it, but if you complain to him, he can't.
Yeah. If there's no solution given, we don't know how to help. It's that kind of going back to the explicit communication again, isn't it? That we're sometimes a bit dumb sometimes, and we just need it spelling out to us. What do you need? Yeah.
I don't even think it's humble to say we're just dumb because we don't know what to do. But that's not because we're dumb. It's because nobody told us. You say, am I dumb because I can't build an airplane? No.
No, I was just never taught. Yeah.
We have to have the training, and and men don't know what they don't know, and women don't know what they don't know. And so I write the books for women to know what they don't know, and then they can bring out the best in men.
So When's your new book come out? When are you hoping to release it? And
in the next month, the next book, and that book is called For Women Only: Men Are from Mars, Women From Venus, for Women Only, and it's how to be happy with or without a man. Because a lot of women don't have men, and if you don't find your happiness without a man, men are not interested in you. And if you with the husband, how to be happy at times without depending on him, so that he doesn't feel the whole job of making you happy is up to him. It's so much easier when your job as a man is to make her happier, not that I have to save her from everything.
Yeah, so almost the difference between being wanted and needed. That sometimes needed is too much, but wanted and is a bit semantics there. But yeah,
well, it's a very semantical thing. If you say to a man, "I need more," it says he's not doing enough. But if you say, "I need your help," basically, would you do this for me? And he does it, and you smile. It's because you needed his help. It's that, men will go into their cave. It's in Men Are From Mars. And then women read the book. Well, how do I get him out of the cave? I go, well, first thing is when he comes out of the cave, don't punish him for going in the cave.
Yeah.
And the second thing is he's in his cave, feels good. He's doing something to rebuild his testosterone. You say, when you have a chance, meaning when you choose, when you have a chance, I need your help. And it's an optimistic, I need your help. There's something called neediness, which is you're not giving me what I need and I'm complaining about you. See, that's different. So being in touch with what you need is the first step. Then learning how to ask in a way that doesn't demand. Neediness is demanding, have a preference, so to speak, because he already wants to do it. But there's a lot to learn when it comes to asking for help. Just like if you wanted to ask for a raise in your company, you'd have to take a good course on how to ask. Because if you ask for too much, you offend. If you don't ask at all, you don't get. So there's an art to that, which might look like, what do I have to do to earn more money here? What goals do I have to achieve? That would be in the work world. But getting more from a man is a whole nother art it's a whole book. That's the book. Yeah.
Awesome.
How to be happy with or without a man.
Thank you so much, John. It was genuinely a fascinating conversation, and I could tell it could go into a deep dive and learn so much. You've obviously been studying and passionate about this for a number of years now. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll keep our eye out, and obviously there's 27 other works. So we'll make sure, obviously, there's a way of connecting to your website and things like that in our show notes and description. But yeah, is there any kind of the one thing you would want people to take away from this particular podcast?
What I'd like people to take away is that when you're suffering, when you're stressed, when you're not happy, you're often looking in the wrong direction for it. It's just simply going left when you need to go right, going right when you need to go left. It's just simply knowing where and how to get what I need.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy man, and it was wonderful to have you on. So for anybody listening, if you found the stuff that myself and John have been talking about, then please reach out and look out for some of John's work. If you haven't already got his first book on your shelves, there is loads others that can maybe be more specific to your needs or requirements. I'm going to be looking into The Children from Heaven, where he explores empathy, and it would have been amazing to get to that, but obviously there's limitations on time. But for otherwise, please like, comment, and share with anybody you think could find this episode useful. Thank you.